Hello, I'm Judith Wilson, and I had a question come in about, is HR still the right department to reach out to get noticed and to want to do training gigs? And so I thought that's a great question because times have changed and I want to answer that question. And I say times have changed because 10 years ago, I would have said yes. HR is your main contact, and that's who would organize training. Now, it is not crystal clear like that. There is not one-stop shop for many reasons. Organizations are doing it a bit differently. So certainly some have HR as their central that would organize training. The really large organizations separate HR and training out. And so they would have whole departments that are just responsible for training instead of HR/training, which it is often in your slightly smaller organizations. But to complicate matters, a lot of organizations are now giving each department their own budget to do their own training. So we have a lot of contacts, such as sales directors, contact us and they've got their own budget to run training for their sales team, and then how they choose to spend it is up to them. So a lot of organizations are giving departments their own budget and saying, you run your training as you want to, and they often don't even have to go through HR for clearance or training department for clearance. They got their budget and they use it as they see fit. We have scenarios where virtual assistants and executive assistants and PAs reach out to us and ask us for details of courses that we run and for quotes. And they've often been told, find out the information and then come back to me. And it certainly always, it often isn't HR. Yes, HR sometimes do that themselves from the HR department, and HR is human resources, of course. And so we're finding that it's very tricky. You can't say this is how it always happens because it's much, much broader spread. One of the global massive retailers has done away with the HR role altogether. So their organization is massive, we're talking billions, and they simply don't have an HR function. And again, each particular individual department needs to handle their own HR training people internally rather than it going through a central thing. So all of this being said, I don't think necessarily we should be approaching anyone. Yes, there are exceptions. If you're going to do something like you want to send a few fantastic shock and awe boxes to them, then maybe. Not right now until COVID is completely done and dusted. I would say there are many other very clever things that you can do other than that. But in those cases where you do want to know who your particular contact or best contact in the department would be, you're still going to need to do your research on each individual organization or business to find out who is the right person. And you can do that often by their website. You can do that by calling reception and saying, I'd like to send something in. Can you please tell me the best person? Or I would like to invite someone. Then, of course, they're going to give you the details. As I say, in COVID, be a little bit careful about that. There'll be a time and a place when we can get back to doing that later. But from an emotional direct response marketing point of view, we don't really want to be doing all of those things that are hounding people to do business with us. What about if we position ourselves well so that they then, who are interested, are going to reach out to us and say, hey, I saw that this is what you offer. I'd be interested in you telling me more. This is who I work for, things like that. And the great thing about that is we then don't have to know beforehand which department is responsible for training, things like that, because they're reaching out to us, and they're going to make it obvious. They're going to tell us exactly how it works in their organization. They're going to tell us which department they are calling from. And that helps us out a lot because we now know that they are the decision makers who can start making some of the decisions and control the purse strings. So they are reaching out to say, this is of interest to my team. And now you start to have a conversation with them to customize it and to tailor it specifically for them. Okay, so that will have answered your question in that it's no longer just HR. It's more complicated than that. Organizations sometimes call it learning and development, sometimes call it talent, they call it all sorts of different things. And you're going to need to know what it's called in the organization and what they are responsible for. And if there is a central hub or if it is way more done department to department. It's lots to consider and think about. But for now, in these times, we're really wanting to think about what do we do best from a positioning point of view so that people can reach out to us. We want to do that gorgeous pull marketing instead of the push marketing. That's food for thought for you. To your success, I'm Judith Wilson.